Let's beat the waiver wire. Right now on Fantasy Football Today Express. Wow, Dave. The crowd was going crazy for Beat the Waiver Wire. We're gonna have
And I thought you were saying like let's beat up the waiver wire.
No.
And you're trying to make it game showy. Hey, how about a special welcome to everybody that sees my Saturday thread on players to get off the waiver wire, but realized that we're doing this on Fridays now. So good for you for remembering that we do this every Friday here on FFT Express.
All right. Next week.
This thing again, but I did.
There we go. Next week, we have 4 teams on by: Cleveland, Green Bay, Las Vegas, and Seattle. So who are we stashing at quarterback?
These are lower rostered quarterbacks who you could start right now. So I'm not even thinking about week 10. I'm still thinking about week 9. And this is for people that have Brock Purdy or Russell Wilson, but Flacco's still out there in a bunch of leagues. Drake May is out there. If he's cleared, there's a chance for him to play on Sunday. He would be a good start. Jameis Winston's one of them. But if you're looking to replace Jordan Love or Geno Smith or Jameis, I think Russell Wilson is your best bet. He's playing at Washington. Him and Derek Carr are the 2 guys that I think you could go and stash now for week 10.
And after Washington, he has Baltimore the following week, Russell Wilson. So that's good.
Carr has, awesome.
Carr has Atlanta next week, and they are terrible against quarterbacks, 24th, but even worse than that lately. All right, so that's 2 names to know: Russell Wilson and Derek Carr. And there's one other guy is I don't know. It's Justin Herbert. He's been throwing more. He's got Tennessee. Then his schedule gets pretty good. Okay. Anyway, Dave gave you the names: Russell Wilson, Derek Carr. Running back.
You can still look for Tyjae Spears and Julius Chestnut. This is provided that Tony Pollard doesn't practice on Friday and doesn't get activated on Sunday. And as we record this, we don't know if Tony Pollard is practicing on Friday. So check with CBS Sports to get the latest information on Tony Pollard. But outside of those guys, it's more like stash candidates than anything else. Jaleel McLaughlin, Justice Hill. I hesitate to say Miles Sanders because if Jonathan Brooks plays, then he's going to hit the bench. Roshan Johnson. Jamie mentioned Isaac Guerrero as one of his favorite guys to add off the waiver wire back on Tuesday. You could stash him through week 9 and see what happens with the 49ers running backs heading into week 10, based on the scenario of CMC's not ready, Jordan Mason's not ready, and then you've got yourself a piece of gold, Jerry. Yeah. Gold, Jerry. With Isaac Goldendo.
Okay, let's go to wide receivers. Who are we stashing here?
Again, this is more of a list of guys you can start now and then guys who you could stash long-term just to see what happens. But receivers that are low roster that you could use: Elijah Moore, Xavier Leggett, Darius Slayton. What if Adam Thielen comes back? What if Leggett is out? Leggett, of course, showed up on the injury report on Thursday. Thielen could be an interesting PPR play. And Jalen McMillan, not ready to give up on him. More names. Ricky Pearsall would be someone that I'd be very interested in stashing. Demario Douglas is another one. And then I guess 2 other names, and this is for deeper rosters: Adonai Mitchell, because if Joe Flacco is going to be the quarterback, this could be a guy who finally connects for some deep throws. And then Jermaine Burton in Cincinnati. Could he overtake Andre Yosivas as the number 3 receiver and potentially the number 2 if T. Higgins misses more time?
We didn't talk about the Giants. They are facing Carolina next week in Germany, I believe.
And yes, that's perfect for Slayton, who has a good matchup this week.
Well, I was also thinking Wandale, but because I just don't trust Slayton with neighbors. But we'll see. Like if Slayton does well this week, I know you can't beat the waiver wire then. But we're not. But we're not talking about Daniel Jones, are we?
No, I'm not. First of all, let's see if he is the starter. I would like to think that he would be. And I kind of would think about him as a bye week replacement quarterback. Carolina's that bad.
All right, let's go to the tight ends. Any tight ends to stash?
There are a few. Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Will Dissly. If I had to rank them as far as stashes go, Henry would be 1. I might give the nod to Dissly over Jonnu just because they're a little short on targets. In LA, you've got McConkey, and then who else is there really? It's been Dissly. Dissly actually has a higher target per route run than McConkey over their last couple of games. Taysom Hill also makes the list. A lot of it has to do with the fact that he's playing at Carolina this week.
Okay, let's take a break and come back and answer some questions from the chat on Fantasy Football Today Express. Here we go, everybody. Express yourself. Bring it in. Should we stash Ray Davis?
Yeah, he's a great stash. We know that James Cook is still probably dealing with a little something in his foot, but you don't really tell by the way he's playing. But if he goes down, you know what you're getting out of Ray Davis. I would absolutely have Davis on my bench if I'm starting James Cook each week.
Next Goat wants to know who to drop for these stash players. And then he says, to drop a previously recommended stash player for this week's stash player, just for that player I dropped to be featured again as another stash player is probably the hardest part during waivers.
But I'll tell you, one of my strategies with my fantasy teams is to keep hopefully just one roster spot as a cyclical part. So each week, someone else is coming in until that player ends up being great. So in one of my leagues, Cedric Tillman was somebody that I picked up a couple of weeks ago in the wake of the Amari Cooper trade, and look how good he's been. That's what you're looking for. You're trying to find Cedric Tillman. No, you're trying to find just a player that looks like a guy who could stick. I think Liggett is a candidate, for example. Carolina, Bryce Young looking a little bit better. Liggett, a talented wide receiver. And maybe I'm missing Jalen Coker in this conversation, but Liggett is the direction I would lean in as of now.
I have Mason. I'm thinking of dropping him for Garendo.
I don't want to do that. Like, I definitely don't mind the idea of stashing Garendo, but if CMC's out and Mason's okay, I still think Mason's going to be the guy for San Francisco.
Any faith in hanging on to Christian Watson?
He's someone who's droppable because we don't see him as anybody that, or as somebody who's got consistency to his game. And it's kind of a headache with these Packers receivers. We like Reed. We like Dobbs. Watson just has not panned out to be the guy that we thought he could. So you could move on from him for somebody like Elijah Moore or Liggett.
My theory on Watson is that he creates space for other wide receivers, and that is his primary function in the offense. I watched tape of a couple of games. In one game, I just noticed that he is almost always running deeper routes than everyone else on the team. And he just... good for him. He's got value that doesn't show up necessarily in the box score.
And you know who else does that is Wicks. And those two rarely play together. So on every play for the Packers, somebody's running that clear out route.
They run a lot of deep routes, this team. Should I drop Caleb Williams for Bo Nix or Matthew Stafford?
Yes, absolutely. Stafford first.
Would you start Kyler Murray or Bo Nix this week?
I need to amend the last answer. What if it's a dynasty league? I wouldn't do it then, but redraft, absolutely I would. Murray or Bo, I'd go Kyler.
Let's see. I'm just going to hum the rest of the way. Oh, should he keep Liggett or Thielen?
I don't hear humming. Liggett.
Can you name two songs that end in humming?
Isn't that something?
Oh, Crash Test Dummies?
Yeah, whoever.
But that's the name of the song. Okay, I'll give you that one. I don't know if it ends in that, but I think it does.
I don't know if it's a hum, but Give It Away by the Red Hot Chili Peppers ends in
No, it gives it Give It Away. No, I'm thinking the two songs I'm thinking are Yesterday and She's Always a Woman by Billy Joel. And finally, should I drop Zach Moss for that open spot, for that cycle spot? Garendo is still out there too.
Yeah, I think that's a player I'd be comfortable letting go of at this point. I think the only way he earns value back is if Chase Brown misses time.
Yeah, he's a handcuff basically, but he is a handcuff that can get you 3 to 4 catches weekly.
Yes.
So he's not that kind of like just handcuff that gets almost nothing. So that doesn't do anything for you. Then
no, if he's a backup fantasy running back, it's just a matter of who else I have as backup fantasy running backs. If I have nobody else, then I'd be inclined to keep Zach Moss. But if he's like my third backup or something like that, then drop kick him onto the waiver wire and give Garendo a hug.
All right, we're out of here. Thanks. This is FFT Express. Talk to you later on Sunday night, I guess. See ya.